Okay, Greg and John, what a great show you're just starting to put together. I know your show's carrying on and I'm interrupting it, John.
Oh, hey Michael, you're my producer and I love the work that we do together and I love what we can do to help our clients tell their story.
Yeah.
And I know you've got some interesting questions.
Well, I do. I was talking to Greg earlier and we're having a bit of a giggle, Greg, weren't we? The electrical contractors, highest paid trade in the universe.
Yeah. Yes, no.
So the media would have you believe.
Thanks today, tonight.
Yeah.
But Greg, you go into an electrical contract. It's interesting when you were talking with John and when you finish your apprenticeship, then you've got to learn you actually get, and then you start learning your trade after your apprenticeship.
Yep.
What interested me though is, why does an electrical contractor, given all the options, choose solar to specialise in?
I had a great interest in it, and that's why I went in that particular direction.
Right. What attracted you to it? What's interesting about solar? Is it the mechanics? Is it the numbers? Is it the growing innovations in that industry?
Yeah, it's the growing innovations. When I finished. Well, during my apprenticeship, we started installing solar. That was back when the system sizes were about 1 kilowatt, and there was an $8,000 rebate from the government. But at that point, I could tell that it was going to be as big or bigger than the PC boom of the 80s.
Wow.
Everything was lining up. The price of coal production for electricity would go up. There were problems with delivering power, so with the infrastructure that's around. So the costs are always going to go up for residences.
Yeah. Greg, it's interesting you're saying like what attracts you is in innovations and it's an expanding field. John, when you coach people and you coach a business that's in an innovative environment, their environment, they don't even know where it's going. They know it's going and changing. How does a coach enable someone to grow into that space when we're still a little bit unsure how far this thing will go?
I love engaging with new businesses and new businesses like Greg. And so my attention is now accentuated to pay attention in the business world to what's going on in solar. So Greg and I have had a number of conversations about batteries. So for a long time it's been just simply solar installs. But now they're talking about creating hubs of resources of multiple homes, businesses, creating small engine rooms with solar batteries. But the technology isn't quite there yet because it is, but it's quite expensive. So it makes my attention, because my clients are really important.
Yes.
So I'm reading, observing and noting, and then we have conversations about where is it up to. And I challenge my clients to think, to do the research to work out when and where do they actually kick that goal and add that, and we've done that, haven't we, a few times, Greg? Yes, about batteries and about the innovations in that space, and what can we do. And the fact that Greg is now one of the companies that can handle the megawatt installs, again, that's quite innovative, and that's what I love, and that's what attracts my attention.
One thing you also said, Greg, and it's starting to make a little bit of sense now, is you're saying you want this to be a family business, you want to grow, you want to step out and become more the manager, not the hands-on. Does that drive your decision making for you as a business owner, the direction you're going to take your business? So you're looking for a business that will have longevity for families to step into?
Yes, yeah.
Are there challenges around doing something like that?
Well, yeah. It's the same challenge as you have for growing any business, really. You need to expand to a certain point to be able to bring extra people into it. So yeah, there's definitely challenges.
When you're going through this and you're going through this challenging phase, how do you cut through the myth, if I can say it that way, and the reality of solar when you're dealing with clients?
Well, you need to be pretty upfront. Most of the companies around that retail solar or retail a package that's delivered at a price point, and for most people that's perfectly fine, but for some people that's not going to suit them. But they don't understand that. They have a certain expectation from what they see, and you have to be fairly frank in what they're actually going to get as to what they think they're going to get.
So there's a certain amount of honesty. When you're being honest like that, does that hurt the business, or do you think it benefits your business?
No, I think it benefits the business. I'm not really targeting residential installs unless it's a referral that's come to me. I'm more targeting the commercial installs. So if somebody rings up and wants a residential install, I normally just give them a simple piece of advice. If you're going to move within 5 years, then get an off-the-shelf system. That'll be fine for you.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at staying in your current residence for a long period of time, then you need to consider putting on some good quality equipment that's, in the long term, is going to give you the best return and the least trouble. It's
interesting you give that advice, and you've been coaching for a number of years, or a long time now, and well, not a long time because you're far too young for a long time. But John, when you're coaching and you've got clients, and they're in this difficult position, whether they're dealing with residential or commercial, and there's a lot of myth around the industry because it's a growing, evolving industry. How do you coach your clients to be able to handle that and work their way through it?
I think there's a fundamental principle in business that whatever the widget is, you've got to be confident about your delivery of that widget and your understanding of how it works and how it's going to benefit clients, and tell the story with authenticity. And when you do that, people love authenticity. You know, especially Australians, they can read straight through us, and they know whether they're being sold or told a story, or whether you are telling the truth to really help and advance them. So that's really important. So we will wrestle with my clients about those kinds of concepts to help them understand and build integrity. And I find this, most people I work with are full of integrity, full of honesty, full of authenticity, and wanting the best for their clients. And they're not wanting to rip them off. They want to grow a business, they want to be profitable, but they want to do the best for their clients. And with those things happening, everybody benefits because the clients get good service, they get a good product, and the business grows and prospers.
Fantastic. So Greg, solar, why do you find it exciting?
New technology. I was an owner builder. I built my own house prior to becoming an electrician, which it's one of the reasons that I took up an electrical apprenticeship. And the idea of someday being self-sufficient was an attractive point to solar. And in the coming years, that's going to become a reality for people in the metro area.
I was going to ask you, do you think it's going to become a reality?
Yeah, it will, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
As from your point of view, what role do you think the traditional, let's call them traditional electrical companies or suppliers are going to play in this new electrical economy, let's call it?
It's such a wide field that the majority of them will carry on in their own areas. Contractors tend to specialise in delivering particular services, and those demands aren't going to go away. So some contractors will specialise in delivering solar. Newer contractors coming into the industry will more than likely do that. But the traditional businesses will stay with what they're delivering.
Yeah, wow. For yourself now, where do you see your business going, or what do you want your business to look like at the end game?
Well, I'd like to see it thrive, and I'd like to see my family members taking it on and enjoying it and thriving themselves.
Wow. When you talk with family members, we get onto the family members. Does this, when you're talking to John as a coach, do the family issues start now to increase? Because you've got a family, so you're going to be a family in business. People go on family business, but do you now start talking with coaches how you can manage family members, their expectations, their roles, responsibilities, and what they might seem as their rights?
We haven't actually discussed that too much. I take the view that they're an employee like any other employee, and they need to come in at the ground level and learn what people do at the ground level, and progress along with everybody else. So I've taken my son on as an apprentice, but I don't work with him. He works with the other tradesmen and the other apprentices, and he puts up with all the regular stuff that everyone else puts up. Because if he doesn't, when he gets to the point where if he does decide that he wants to manage a business later on, if he doesn't go through that grounding first, he's going to fall into a lot of pitfalls and a lot of traps. So he understands that, and he's putting up with it and doing well.
It's interesting, isn't it? And John, you must come across this in a lot of your clients, that they are employing families into your business. Just listening to Greg's comment then, how he's isolated himself basically from his son so his son can absorb the business. Is this one of the strategies you think is a good one for business owners?
Absolutely. If you don't know the business, you don't know the business.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I'm working with an architect. Unfortunately, his dad's just recently died, and he's got to take some more responsibility on. But he knows the business, and he's ready to thrive in that. So he's not overwhelmed. Just says, now I need to step up and do this. And that's the reality. What you want is, for any staff that you're training, it's training them progressively. And as business owners, you've got to take the long-term view and the long-term perspective. And that's what Greg's doing. So right now, as an apprentice, he's not a manager yet. He's got a few years to get under his belt. But we will have those conversations as we go down, and we've had them about structuring the office, about the kind of staff that you want there, what it means to support, how you might expand. So we have those conversations as is necessary, and we know where we're going, so we'll have those conversations, yeah.
Two more questions.
Cool.
One that fascinates me about when you have family members come in. Some people say that once your family members finish his apprenticeship with you, you should push them out the nest. Go and make them work for somebody else, and come back in a couple of years and bring us all your good ideas. Is that in your thoughts, or do you go, he doesn't really need to do that, or she doesn't really need to do that?
At this point, that'll have to be a call I make later on. When my son's qualified, but at this point I don't really see the need to it, because the experience I've had in bringing people in from other businesses has been counterproductive for me. But I think it's probably best to keep them within the business.
It's better to have that culture and have no diversions from what you want as a culture for your business.
Yes.
It's an interesting point. What's your take on that, John?
I know from research, the people that you grow with you get 70% better results than those that you bring in. You've got to work harder, and it's at a 30% level. So that's the difference it makes by bringing and training. And I've had this with my own sons. Take them on the journey. They will eventually be in key roles with you, which is beginning to happen. So I really do believe and agree with Greg that it's a great strategy. Bring them in, train them up, and we've talked about the power of customer service, the power of culture, the work of diligence, the hard work. They'll pick that up and say, this is how we do it. So this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And then this is how we do it. Greg won't have to worry about this is how we do it, because this is how we do it. And that's going to be a great legacy that Greg is actually establishing for his future. He's not just building success, but building legacy and leaving something of significance that can be generationally enhanced going forward. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's fantastic. I appreciate you staying back as well,
Yeah.
Greg. For business owners watching the show and maybe considering solar, what type of business do you actually, in your commercial space, do you actually look after? And what's the best way of contacting yourself?
Yeah.
Well, it really comes down to how much power the client is drawing. That's what the base requirement is. So we've installed on hospitals and hotels and factories. It just comes down to
retirement villages.
Yeah, retirement villages.
Yeah. So
shopping centres.
A whole range of commercial.
Yeah.
To help them answer the power question and to make power more economical for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to contact you, is it bellenus.com.au?
Yes, it is.
So should we spell that, Bellenus?
BELENUS. .com.au.
Contact Greg. We'd love you to do that. He's a great guy, got a great business, and can help you.